Hello everyone, you welcome back to TBL Kuto channel. Thank you for your subscriptions, for your likes and for your comments. God bless you. Thank you so much. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to draft the upper part of this beautiful Ankara outfit. Just the upper part. It is simple, easy and very straight to draft. It won't take much of your time. So without further ado, let's get into the video. The very first thing you need is your shoulder to your waist measurement, the full part of your shoulder to your waist measurement, not your half scale measurement. So I have here my client full front bodies and the back is the half bodies. So the first thing I'm going to go in to do is to measure the under bust length from the shoulder point like so. I'm going to measure under bust at both sides, then I'll take my ruler to connect these two sides together. Then the next thing I'll be needing is to divide our natural under bust into two because I have a full front bodies on the table right now. So I'll be needing just the half of our under bust circumference. Once I've gotten that, then the next thing I'll do is to measure what I have for the under bust at the front like so. I have 50 centimeters, which is 19.75 in inches. I mostly use centimeters to draft, so when I'm explaining, I love explaining both in inches and in centimeters. I haven't gotten under bust. I haven't divided by under bust into two. I have 41.5 centimeters for a half under bust. That is the circumference of our total under bust. I have half of it, which is 16.25 in inches. Then the next thing I'm going to do, I have a pattern on the bust, which is 50 centimeters, and I have a natural on the bust divided by 2, which is 41.5 centimeters. I will go ahead to deduct 41.5 centimeters. This is going to give me 8.5 centimeters. In inches, this is 3.5 inches. So this is all I need to use for our under bust tightening. This is the method I use for under bust tightening when I'm working, be it my dress or my client outfit. So this is what I use. So I'm going to be dividing 8.5 centimeters into 2 or 3.5 inches into 2. This is going to give me 4.25 in centimeters and 1.75 in inches. So this is what I'm going to be doing with the 4.25 or 1.75. I'm going to be using one at one side of the dart and the other one at the other side of the dart, and the center front side is going to be taking lesser while the side front is going to be taking higher. For instance, I have 4.25. From the 4.25 or 1.75, I'm going to be imputing 3 centimeters at the side front. Then the other 1.25 centimeters, I'm going to be imputing it towards the center front. This is what I'm going to be doing at both sides of the dart. The higher one goes to the side once more, then the smaller one comes to the center front. This is what is known as under bust tightening. This is the method I use. I just don't go in straight by maybe 5 centimeters or 2 inches. I try to measure what I have on my pattern paper, measure what I have around my client's body, then go ahead to divide the natural on the bust of my client's bodies into 2, deduct it from what I have on my pattern paper, then go ahead to distribute it around the pattern paper to eliminate any excess I have on the bust. The next thing I'm going to do is to connect the excesses I have deducted out from the under bust to my waist dart. I'm going to connect it like so to the waist dart. I haven't done this. The next thing I'm going to do is to mark what I have from my center front to my dart. That is what I use. Maybe it's nipple to nipple divided by 2 or my across chest divided by 4. So in this case, I use my across chest divided by 4. So I'll go ahead to mark it along the shirt line at both sides of the front. Then I'll come down by 2 centimeters. In inches, you can come down by 0.5 inches or 0.75 inches depending on your preference. Then the next thing I'm going to be doing is to come down at the shoulder point towards the armhole by 6 centimeters, 8 to 7 centimeters. This is like maybe 3 inches, 3.5 inches. I don't know exactly in inches. So I'm just going to decide. This decision is based on you. So what I'm marking here is based on what I prefer to come down with. So from that very point where I came down, I'm going to go up by 2.5 centimeters, go down by 2.5 centimeters. This is 1 in inches. Then connect from the 2.5 centimeters which I went down to the cross chest divided by 4 I marked along the chest line like so. Then because I'm going to be short of some inches at that very angle where I'm going to be cutting out, so I'll go up by 2 inches in total, which is 5 centimeters. At that very angle, I'll go up by the 2 inches I'm going to be short of. Then at the armhole, I will go in by 1 centimeters. I'm going to take my French curve, connect from the 1 centimeters to the 2 inches I just went up at the armhole like so. Then take up my ruler and connect from the midpoint to the across chest, and also at the upper part where I went in by 2.5 centimeter 1 inch to the across chest. And the next thing I'm going to do is to cancel, because I'm going to be cutting that place out to avoid gaping. So after doing this, I went in with my French curve to connect from my armhole to my chest line, then from my bust tightening at my waist also to my bust line or across chest line to make that curve I just did like so. Once I'm done with that, I'm also going to connect the other side of my bust tightening to the across chest at the nipple to nipple or across chest divided by 4 line. This is what I have at the other side. I'm going to cancel out the excesses. This excesses is what I'm going to be cutting away from my pattern. The next thing to do is to work at the other side of my bodies. The first thing I'll be doing is to mark where my yoke is going to be starting from along my shoulder line. Then at the other side of the armhole line too, I went in by some centimeters. You can go in by 5, 6, 7 centimeters or 2 to 3.5 inches at the armhole line. That is where my yoke is going to get to. Once I'm done with that, the next thing I'm going to be marking after getting my yoke line at the shoulder and also at the armhole, then I'll go ahead to measure the length of the yoke that I will be using for this particular outfit and use my French curve to connect from the shoulder point of the yoke. I just decided to go a little bit inward at the shoulder line, connect together to the length of my yoke at the center front and also towards the armhole. And this is what I have for the yoke. I will just go ahead to label it so I will know this is the yoke I have. The next thing I will do is to extend the line I have at the other side on the across chest line towards the yoke. Then I want to take in some centimeters or inches to avoid gaping at that very area. So the first thing I did was to mark what I have for my under bust tightening at that very spot. That was what I marked, which I later did some corrections to because I discovered what I marked here is too much, because it is not going to be a sleeveless top or something like that. So after, I'm going to be showing you along in the video how to correct this, and I used my curve ruler to connect to the underbust and also to the yoke line. Then the next thing I did was just to cancel the line like so, because I wouldn't be needing this aspect anymore. So I'm just going ahead here to do my Ankara styling that I did on this particular dress. I'm just going ahead to do my Ankara styling. You can do it the way you want. From the shoulder, I connected the first line to the shoulder, then the second line I think I went in by some like 5 to 6 centimeters away from that line, and I just connected to the line like so. This is all that I did for the front. What I'm going to be doing for this particular style is to trace out this piece on another pattern paper before cutting it on the main fabric. This is all you have to do when you want to create this kind of style that I did for this dress at the upper part. So I went in to label my pattern. It is very essential for you not to cut mistakenly. I'm meant to write right, center and left, not RCR. It's meant to be RCL. Just right, my right side, the center and the left side of the fabric for me to know which one to place and where to place them. The next thing I'll be going to do is to mark my neck depth. I went in at the neck point by 1 centimeter. Neck depth is 1.5 centimeters because this is a basic neckline. So I'm just going to cancel the blue lines with my red marker in order for me to know that I will be cutting it off. For the back pattern, what I did was to go in at the neck point by the 1 centimeter. I went in at the front neck point and I went in for the neck depth by 5 centimeters and 2 in inches. The next thing I'm going to do for the back is to extend my dart line to the armhole line and just connect to the waistline like so. Just like I did for the other side of the armhole, I also went in by 1 centimeter at this very other side. In case you are wondering in inches how many centimeters can you go in like that on the armhole, you can go in by I think 0.25 or 0.5 inches. And I also went in for the back armhole, or at the back armhole by the 1 centimeter. I went in for the front armhole. And on the second thought, after blending the back armhole together, what I just did is there is no need for that. I just eliminated the back dart and I sharpened my waistline like so. The next thing I did is to cut out my pattern. I remembered at this very point that I needed to mark some notings on my pattern, so before cutting it out, so I just stopped cutting and I went ahead to mark my notings on my pattern. This is very, very good. It helps one to remember the seam you are meant to add, to remember which fabric you are going to be cutting with a particular side of your style that you design. And once I was done with these notings, I went ahead to cut my pattern. At this very spot, I was a little bit confused and I discovered that I took out some excesses at this very side of my bust line. You can as well choose to leave it and blend it in with your armhole line, but what I did is I took my time to study the pattern all over again. And once I discovered that I took out much more excesses because my armhole at this other side, at the right side of my pattern, wasn't blending and I wanted it to blend. For some people, they would just put another pattern paper and blend the armhole to the other side, but for me, what I did is to put my pattern piece together with my masking tape. Then I went in at both sides by 0.5 inches, 0.5 inches, which is 1 centimeter each at the very side. You know what I have for my underbust tightening was 4.25 centimeters. So instead of using a total of 4.25 centimeters, what I ended up using was 2 centimeters. This was what I did. For me, this little mistake in itself wanted me not to post this video, but I just felt no one is above mistake, as you know, and I reconstructed it back to give me exactly what I wanted. Then the next thing I did was to cut out a little out of that very part, take in another piece of pattern paper to place under the armhole, and I went ahead to blend the armhole together like so. Use my masking tape to hold it down for me to do it. After achieving all this, I just cut all the pieces out with my scissors to give me my pattern design. Once I was done getting all the things I needed for this pattern drafting, the next thing I did was to go ahead to cut it on the fabric. So what I did for the fabric was to place the right side at the top and the left side beneath, because I'm going to be cutting the patterns face up. I will be seeing my patterns the way I'm cutting it, so I have the right, center, left like so. So exactly the way I placed it on this fabric is the way I'm going to be sewing it together. After placing it like so, the next thing I did was to take my pins, use it to hold my fabric and my pattern paper together. And after then, I went in to add my different seam allowances round the pattern paper on the fabric. And once I was done adding this seam allowance, the next thing I did was to cut off and go ahead to sew on my sewing machine. I didn't show us all these parts because the main emphasis of this video is how to draft this basic style, not how to sew it. And this was what I was able to achieve. I love the fact that what I saw on my pattern paper was what actually came of it. And for also the fact that I went in with my intuition to make some corrections on the pattern paper. I love this and it's beautiful. Thank you so much for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoy watching this video. Please like, follow, subscribe, leave your thoughts in the comment section. Till next time, I still remain your girl T Bell Couture. Bye bye.